I've been following you for a bit on Instagram, and I was stalking your Instagram profile to get some good talking points for this interview. You started, like you said, you grew up farming, but you didn't start your winery, your vineyard until what, 7 years ago? Like around 7 years ago?
I planted in 2018, so yes, I guess we're coming up on 7 years. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, I grew up on a farm, absolutely loved it. Like I loved being a farm kid, ran around barefoot, had all the animals, like, ran through the ditches, all that. Like really like amazing, amazing childhood. And but I don't really know why. I just never thought I'd be a farmer. Like I didn't do 4-H, I didn't do FFA, like I didn't do any ag classes or anything like that. So I just,
Mm.
even though I loved it, I don't know, I just like didn't link those two things together. Um, Went off to college, was like, I have no idea what I want to do with my life, dropped out of college, thought I wanted to work with kids, so I ended up being a nanny. Absolutely loved being a nanny. I worked for like the most amazing family. It just was like a dream. I had a dream nanny job. But I
Nice.
guess like yeah, I got really lucky because I still talk to them to this day, and it's been over 10 years now since I've worked for them. Um, but I don't know, like while I was a nanny, I just kept getting this itch of being like, is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life?
Mm.
Like what do I want to do with my life? I still, even though I loved my job, I was still kind of like trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Because gosh, I would have been like 23 or so at this time. It's like, how are we supposed to know what we want to do with our life at 18 years old,
Right? Yeah, I feel like nobody
Yeah.
does. And if they say they do,
Nobody.
they're making it up.
Yeah, or they just like just stick with it and they're not really
Yeah.
sure that that's what they want to do. But that's not me. I'm a wanderer. I don't stick with nothing. um, but so yeah, so I just kind of was getting that itch, and I just was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go back to the farm. It's calling me back every time I went home to visit. I just like felt this pull, and I was like, why am I not here? Like this is what I really love. So I discussed it with my parents. They were probably like, "Oh God, like okay, if this is what you want." So yeah, quit my nanny job, moved back to the farm in 2015. Started farming with my dad. Like I said, he does corn and alfalfa,
Mm,
and then
okay.
also does land leveling. I don't know if that's popular everywhere, but like it's really important here to like make sure you have proper drainage and stuff like that in your fields. So
Hmm.
basically, we would like plant corn, in April, and then like once the corn was good to go, we would do land leveling for customers like all summer until we were ready to harvest corn in the fall, and then kind of take care of the alfalfa in the middle. Um, so yeah, when I moved back to the farm, my dad was kind of like, I don't think you should grow corn. Like I don't see a future in that for you. I'd really like you to explore other areas of agriculture. We live in California. You can literally grow anything. Like go find
Oh yeah.
something else. Yeah, he's like, go find something else. So I actually went through this amazing program called California Farm Academy,
Mm.
and it was like 7 months long, I want to say. And it was like 2 days a week. We'd go. They had like a little just hands-on farm where we grew all different vegetables and stuff. And then like once a month or so, we would go and tour a farm. And then, so it just like broadened everything for me because I really only knew a couple things and I got to experience a lot. And then the end of the program was you had to present a business plan, and they brought in like real landowners and bankers and stuff like that. And you presented your business plan to them, and so I just like was looking around me and I was like, okay, vineyards are going in. Like I really like the idea of doing this. I don't live far from Lodi. We had visited a few vineyards, so I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to write my business plan on.
Hmm.
So my business plan was Beaver Vineyards. I did it. It was great. And then after that, the year of 2016, I actually commuted and did a year at Napa Valley Community College in their viticulture program.
Oh, cool.
And like I'm not a good student, so like or like I'm not good at school. So I was like, I just told myself like I'm not here to get a degree. Like I'm just taking the classes that I know I'm going to be hands-on in the field, like learning as much as I can learn. So those are the classes I took. Like I was out there pruning, took some winemaking classes where I was like, not for me. And so I just took those classes where I knew I could learn as much as possible that like I was going to take into the field with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2017 was like, okay, I'm going to get a mentor. Like, I got to get a loan. I got to figure out where my grapes are going to go. Like, I'm making this dream a reality. So that was like all of 2017 and then planted in 2018.
That's awesome. That's a lot. Holy cow.
So that's
I
kind of
bet.
the birth of it.
Yeah. No, that's so cool. I feel like we have some. Was the California Farm Academy through Farm Bureau in California? Because we have something like vaguely similar here in Florida.
So it's not technically through them, but they do have some like ag leadership programs
Right.
that
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
go through. But they probably help fund it, I
Yeah.
would I would guess. But it's through a organization called the Center for Land-Based Learning.
Okay.
And they are amazing. So amazing. Like anyone in California, in Northern California, like if you want to get into farming, you can join their programs with no experience.
Hmm.
We were a class of like, I don't know, between 10 and 15, and only two of us had ag backgrounds. So yeah, I don't know how big your California audience is, but I can't recommend them enough. Like they're just so supportive. And I did their class in 2015. I still stay connected with them. Like if I need help with anything, I can email their director like, "Oh, do you have a connection for this?"
Yeah.
And now I actually have one part-time employee, and he went through their program like years later. So they were even able to help me find someone that like he wanted to learn more about viticulture with no ag background. So it like worked out amazing. So yeah, I don't think I'd be where I am today without them.
That's cool. I'll look them up. I haven't heard of them before, but that's really cool. You had that opportunity, and I mean, no telling how many thousands of others have had that opportunity to like learn on the farm, learn by doing it. That's really neat.
Yeah, yeah, and just the hands-on was,
Oh yeah.
I'm not a book learner, so being able to be out in the field with my hands in the dirt, like that's the game changer for me.
So I taught high school ag classes for 2 years in Daytona, and I feel like ag classes are so fun because you get to do that for students. You get to give them that hands-on learning that otherwise they might not get.
Yes.
So that's cool. I relate with you on that because I really have to like do it. I'm very kinesthetic, a
Mm-hmm.
kinesthetic learner. Real quick, going back to your parents, I've noticed after interviewing farmers and ranchers for like 5 years now, I think there's usually two ways that the parents do it. They either pressure the kids on going on the farm, or they're like, nah, do your own thing. But it's funny because if you pressure the kids, 99% of the time they don't come back to the farm. But if you're like, hey, do your own thing, I feel like 99% of the time they go back to the farm. So how did your parents go about that?
Oh, there's no pressure.
Really?
I mean,
Okay.
yeah. I mean that's probably why I never thought I was gonna be a farmer.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
it was never talked about. I mean, my parents, I wouldn't say they were against it, but it just was never a discussion,
Mm,
really. We helped a little bit on the farmers' kids, a little bit,
hmm.
but not a ton. But we grew up on the farm. And yeah, I think it really was like you just go out and find what you want to do. And yeah, so no pressure to ever come back to the farm. I probably have caused my parents more problems now that I came back. Where, if
Uh-oh.
yeah, because it's like, I think like, their retirement plan, it was like, well, like no one's gonna farm, so like one day we'll just sell everything and retire. But like now I'm here. So they're like, oh, we
There
can't
goes
just
that
sell
retirement plan.
yeah, they're like, oh, we can't just sell everything now because like you want to do this.
That's funny. Yeah, so I interviewed a guy. He's got a beef cattle ranching podcast, and he talked with a cattle rancher, I think in Canada, I think. And it was kind of a similar situation. Like the family had like three sons, and they're like, "Hey, go do what you want." But they eventually came back, and then the father was like, "Hey, if you're going to stay here, you should maybe diversify. And so
Mm.
all of those sons did something different. One put up like a hunting lease on the farm, another one opened up a farm store, and I forget what the other one did. It sounds really familiar with yours. Like they just kind of diversified, did things a little bit differently on the farm, and made what worked for them, which I think is really cool. They can kind of like etch out their own path on that
Mhm.
family farm.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that's definitely what my parents wanted. Like I said, as soon as I came back, they were like, find something else. Like
Yeah.
don't, find your own path in this. We'll support you. So like I do lease my property from my parents,
Mm.
which helped me a lot because it is really hard to buy ground. So I lease property from them, but it's mine. Like the vineyard is mine. I bought my own tractors. I do my own work. And my dad really now actually focuses on the land leveling more than anything. I do work for him a little bit. I do the surveying. We
Mm.
have to make maps and stuff so that way we know where like the hills and the deep is all that. But mainly my focus is the vineyard.